Part 2, The Sermon at Benaras. Kissa Gautami had an only son and he died. In her grief, she carried the dead child to all her neighbors, asking them for medicine, and the people said, "She has lost her senses. The boy is dead." Now we start with the first sermon of Lord Buddha, and it starts Kissa Gautami, a very unfortunate, very unlucky girl. She had only one son. He died. In her sorrow, in her grief, she carried the dead child to all her neighbors, asking them for medicine. And the people said, "She has lost her senses." Naturally, the people thought that she has gone mad. She doesn't know that the child is dead. At length, Kissa Gautami met a man who replied to her request. "I cannot give thee medicine for thy child, but I know a physician who can." At length means after a long time, Kissa Gautami met a man who replied to her request. He said that he cannot give thee. Thee means you. I cannot give you medicine for thy child. Thy child means for your child. But I know a physician who can. So that man told her that he cannot give the medicine, but he knows one doctor. And the girl said, "Pray tell me, sir, who is it?" And the man replied, "Go to Sakya Muni, the Buddha." And the man told her to go to Sakya Muni, that is Buddha. Kissa Gautami repaired to the Buddha. Repaired means a stylistic way use it is, went to Buddha and cried, "Lord and Master, give me the medicine that will cure my boy." Buddha answered, "I want a handful of mustard seed." And when the girl and when the girl in a joy promised to procure the Buddha added, "The mustard seed must be taken from a house where no one has lost a child, a husband, parent, or friend." Now, when Buddha told her to bring the mustard seed, he also told her to bring the mustard seed from the house where no one has lost a child, where no one has died. Poor Kissa Gautami now went from house to house, and the people pitied her and said, now Kissa Gautami went from one house to another. People felt sorrow for her. They pitied her. They felt sympathy for her and said, "Here is mustard seed, take it." But when she asked, "Did a son or a daughter, a father or mother die in your family?" They answered her, "Alas, the living are few, but the dead are many." They gave her the answer that the living are few, जो जिंदा हैं वो कम है. The dead are many. The dead, those who have died, are so many. The list is endless. Do not remind us of our deepest grief. And they told her not to remind them of their deepest sorrow of the dead ones. And there was no house, but some beloved one had died in it. And she found no house where nobody had died. Kissa Gautami became weary and hopeless. Now she became very hopeless. She became desperate, helpless, weary, tired. And she sat down at the wayside watching the lights of the city. She sat by the road of the side of the road, watching the lights of the city as they flickered up and were extinguished again. So she watched the lights which shone unsteadily, जो जलती थी और बुझ जाती थी. They lighted and then they went out and were extinguished again. और बाद में वो पूरी तरह से seized हो गई. They ceased to burn. At last, darkness of the night reigned everywhere. And at the end, she found that the darkness of the night reigned everywhere, ruled everywhere. Finally, there was all darkness before the light flickered. And she considered the fate of men. And this was the turning point. She got the wisdom. उसको एक नया ज्ञान प्राप्त हुआ. And she considered this is the fate of men also. This is the destiny of human beings. After their lives flicker up and are extinguished again. Their lives also flicker. वो भी ऐसे ही जलती है. धीरे धीरे जलती है, बुझती है, and is in the end extinguished. And she thought to herself, how selfish am I in my grief? Death is common to all. And then she realized that she was very selfish in her grief because death is common to all. Yet in this valley of desolation, there is a path that leads him to immortality who has surrendered all selfishness. And then she realized that death is common to all. And in this valley of desolation, in this area which is filled with deep sorrow, this death, this is called valley of desolation. ये जो deep sorrow का area है जहाँ पे इतना दुख है, there is a path that leads to him to immortality. वहाँ पर जो है आदमी immortal हो जाता है, eternal हो जाता है, when he goes back to God, who has surrendered all selfishness, and he only surrenders the selfishness. Buddha said, the life of mortals in this world is troubled and brief and combined with pain. Buddha replied to him that the life of the mortals means those bound to die. वो living beings जो दुनिया में आते हैं and they have to die. Their life is full of trouble. Their life is full of brief. Their life is very brief, very short, and it is always combined with pain. For there is not any means by which those that have been born can avoid dying. Then Buddha explained her कि there is no means, ऐसा कोई means ही नहीं है, ऐसी कोई चीज़ ही नहीं है जिससे कि those who are mortal, those who have taken birth on this earth, they can avoid death, destruction, they can avoid death. After reaching old age, there is death. क्योंकि जो भी बूढ़ा होता है उसे मरना है. Of such a nature are living beings. This is the nature of the living beings. As ripe fruits are early in danger of falling, so mortals when born are always in danger of death. Then he gives a beautiful example of the ripe fruit. He says the ripe fruits are early in danger of falling. Ripe fruits जल्दी खतरे में रहते हैं of falling, of dying. वो जल्दी गिरते हैं पेड़ से. So are the mortals, so are the living beings. They are born and they are always in the danger of death. As all earthen vessels are made by the potter and in being broken, so is the life of mortals. Lord Buddha gives her another example. He says all the earthen vessels, जो भी pots जो mud के बनते हैं, they are made by the potter and they are also in the end broken. So is the life of mortals. Both young and adult, both those who are fools and those who are wise, all fall into the power of death. All are subject to death. And then he tells her that all young and adult, all fools or wise, all fall into the clutches of death. All are subject to death. सबको मरना है.